Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Ollie. Welcome to the fourth tutorial in this series of Java for Beginners. In this tutorial we're going to be going over strings and mathematical operators. In this tutorial I will be explaining strings quite briefly, more focused on mathematical operators, but we'll go over strings first just to sort of get a foundation of knowledge for them, and then we could use them later. So first of all, what is a string? A string is a string of characters, as the name implies, and it can hold any amount of characters, letters, numbers, symbols, all that stuff, and store it as one variable. So I'll show you an example quickly. We're first going to declare a string variable by saying string. This is like we learned in the last tutorial about declaring variables. We're first going to declare the string variable type, which is string like that. As you can see, it's not a built-in Java keyword, and we'll learn why later on, but just make sure you have a capital S on the front of string. So we'll write the string, and then I'm just going to call this hello world, like so. And now would be a good time to teach you about variable naming conventions. So I told you about class naming conventions, you should always start with a capital letter. When you name variables and methods, you should always start with a lowercase, and then any preceding words start with an uppercase. And this is called camel casing. So enough about that. We'll declare our string called hello world, and then I'm going to set it equal to the message hello world. And as you can see, a string is represented between two double quotes, and anything inside here will be treated as a string. So we can now system.out.println this hello world variable, and you can probably guess what's going to happen when we hit run. You can see that hello world is printed out. That's because we've assigned this string here, hello world, to this hello world variable, and we then print the hello world variable out, the value of the hello world variable. So that is a very brief introduction to strings. I'm going to be explaining later on in this tutorial how we can use the plus symbol on strings to concatenate strings. So I'm going to remove that for now, and we can get started on mathematical operators. So say I made two variables called a, one equal to 10, and then b equal to 300. So now I'm going to make a third variable called c. And now, like I mentioned in the last tutorial, the assignment operator assigns the value of the right hand side onto the value of the left hand side. The left hand side is always a variable because you can't change the value of a constant, but the value on the right hand side could be in the form of literal numbers or variables itself. So we're going to put the assignment operator here, and we're now going to manipulate a and now Java makes it very easy for us to do maths equations. We can use brackets, plus symbol, times, minus, divide, and also the modular symbol to form any amount of complex equations. So the simplest one possible, I'll just do a plus b, like so. And there doesn't need to be a space, I just keep it like that because it's neater. So going by the logic we discussed earlier, the value of the right hand side, which is a plus b, is assigned to the variable c. You can see clearly what's going to happen. 10 plus 300 equals 310. 310 is then stored in the variable c. So we're just going to print that out quickly just to test, and we're going to pass in c and hit run, and you can see that the value 310 is printed out. And we can change this variable to whatever we want, times, we can add brackets around it, we can do loads of crazy stuff, and we can run this. And you can see that Java will calculate the value of this equation for us. And it really is that simple. We can manipulate equations as much as we like. We can create another variable called d, which is equal to c, which is this thing here, times c, for example, and then print out the value of d. So looking at this in a sort of ladder way, you can see that it prints out a rather large number. Looking at this in a kind of ladder, you can see that d is equal to c times c, c is equal to that a times b minus b, and then b is equal to 300, a is equal to 10. So if you just pass these variables down, you can see where we get the values from. It really is that simple. So I'm going to teach you quite a non-standard, sorry, lost my train of thought. Quite a non-standard mathematical operation, especially in programming. It's called the modulus. Just remove that d there. And the modulus is basically the remainder of a division. So it's the number. You can use different methods. You can use different ways of the sorry, can't speak today. You can use the modulus in different ways to get, say, to tell if a number is divisible by a certain number, because if the modulus was equal to 0, it means it was a clean divide, and it is divisible. But anyway, I digress. I'll show you how to use it now. If we write int a equals 10, actually we won't confuse it with that. We'll just say int a is equal to 10 modulus 5. Now, this equation right here means when 10 is divided by 5, what is the remainder? Now, we know 10 divided by 5 is 2, and there is no remainder. So if we print out a here, you'll see that it's 0. However, if we say 11, 11 into 5 is 2, remainder 1, so the value will be 1, as you can see there. That's pretty much the very simple use of the modulus argument. So what happens if we use mathematical operators on a non-number variable, such as a string? What if we have a string called hello, and that equals hello, and then we have a string, then we have a string called world, which equal to world, like so. How do we stick these two strings together? Well, the easiest way to do it is create another string. We'll call this hello world, and that's equal to hello plus world, like so. And you can see we pretty much use it in the exact same way as we would for number variables. We set the value of the left-hand side equal to the value of the right-hand side. So hello plus world, in this case, hello equals the word hello and then a space, and then the variable world equals world. So when this variable is created, it's equal basically to these two strings just stuck together. And I will demonstrate that right now by writing system.out.println and then writing hello world variable in there, and you'll see that the two strings are concatenated and stuck together. Okay, that's it for this tutorial, guys. Hopefully it was useful. We learned about mathematical operators, strings, and how we can add strings together, concatenate strings. In the next tutorial, we're going to be going over methods, how we can create our own methods. So I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.